Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Purple Curtain podcast. I'm John,
This is Rusty.
and this week we don't really have any particular news item that we're going to focus on. We've just got a whole bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But to start off with, we were just going to talk a little bit about the news that Nogizaka is the top-selling artist in Japan for the first half of the year, and this is something which is it's now the second time in a row that Nogizaka have been the best-selling artist. So, like, it can only be good news, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this isn't like for everything. It's only counting the music-related areas like CD, Blu-rays, digital sales, and like those strictly music-related areas. So, for example, if they're doing like advertisement, that's not included in Oricons calculation. So they're probably doing really, really well.
Yeah, I think a part of this is due to the fact that, you'd probably expect AKB to just about outdo them because AKB does still probably overall sell slightly more singles,
Mm-hmm.
but I think this is also due to the success of the album as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because albums are worth several times more,
Mm-hmm.
and the album which was just released has sold like very well for an idol album.
Mm-hmm. I also think the fact that there's a lack of So Senkyo single this time around probably helps a lot for Nogi. That is, if AKB still have their So Senkyo single, that might just push them like way higher than they are right now.
Yeah, I mean that would always be in the second half of the year, but it's still I'm still slightly surprised by this, but um,
Mm-hmm.
I've also been looking at the like sales figures of groups in general. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting that the latest Kayakizaka single is actually very close to Sing Out's overall sales so far. It's only
Mm.
about it looks like it's only about like maybe 150,000 behind.
Mm.
And I think it's interesting because Sing Out didn't perform. It actually did quite well in the first week that it came out,
Mm-hmm.
but it's performed like not quite so well in week 2 and week 3,
Mm.
which is interesting.
Hmm. That's curious. I guess I I don't know. Maybe the way the handshake event is scheduled this time put more of the sale in the first week.
Oh, that might explain it. I wouldn't really know about that.
Yeah, I haven't looked it up, but I mean that's a possibility. But it could also mean the song is not really breaking out as they hoped to be.
Yeah, I mean that might be why. I think that maybe it's actually maybe the people who bought it when it first came out are the fans, but I guess it might be less appealing to casual fans who won't be in any particular rush to go and buy the single when it comes out.
Yeah, it's like I mean I don't think people hate the song, but I don't really see a lot of people like thinking this is the best song ever either. So I don't think there's a lot of excitement toward the song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like my personal feelings about it were, um, I kind of think that I was worried that it might be a really bad song when we
Mm.
heard the little snippets of it, and then when it
Mhm.
came out, it was actually a decent song.
Mhm.
So I think I reacted positively to the fact that it wasn't bad, which I kind of feared that it might be. But like in retrospect, you know, they in retrospect, there've been much better Nogizaka singles, so I'm not particularly in love with this one.
Mhm.
But I guess, I'm kind of looking for an explanation as to why it's sold pretty poorly in week 2 and week 3, and like, it might just be that casual fans aren't that interested in it.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's plausible. Like I said, I don't think I saw a lot of people expressing particular interest or liking for the song. It'd be nice if we have some sort of digital rank that's easily accessible. I think that would help a lot. It would tell us whether or not the song's doing well. And I suspect compared to some of the previous single, it's rather weaker A side.
Yeah, and I also think it's interesting because it is starting to show a bit of a shift in the dynamic between Nogizaka and Keyakizaka, where for quite a long time, in singles sales terms at least, not looking at public appreciation or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
Nogizaka was far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even though people have been, you know, like people have been slightly negative about Keyakizaka's, like
Future.
economic performance recently, which I
Mm.
always thought was a little bit strange because there didn't seem to be anything wrong with the way they were performing in terms of units shifted.
Mm.
Or we might actually get to a point in the fairly near future where these days it kind of feels as though Nogizaka are the sort of like preeminent idol group, like AKB have slightly fallen behind them.
Mm-hmm.
If Keyakizaka keep going the way they are now, like catching up and surpassing Nogizaka doesn't really seem like such a it doesn't seem like such an unlikely scenario.
Mm. I think the worry is that Kayaki is too dependent on Techi. They put all their eggs on Techi, and all the center have been Techi. And if one day, like even when the time seems perfect to change center because Techi is sick, and there's promising people, they didn't do that. They keep pushing on with Techi, so the image and the group seems very dependent on her. If they suddenly do it now, it might not work out well. I think that might be a worry, and it also is a worry that management just don't seem interested in transitioning, and they're pushing Techi too hard. And once she's actually incapable, like maybe there's some physical condition that she can't continue to help push the group forward, then things will fall apart image-wise. Maybe that's the worry.
I mean, I understand, like Kayakizaka fans' concern about that. But my particular opinion, which I think is a bit of a fringe one, is that I don't think the centre matters as much as people think it does.
Mm,
I think who the centre is something which really, really matters to fans, but to most people who are outside the fandom, it probably doesn't matter that much who the centre is. And even for fans, the centre changes. They might think it's a bad idea, but it's not like they're going to stop supporting their favourite member if
that's true.
if the centre changes or anything. So, I think it would be better if Kayakizaka to change their centre just because Hirate seems a little bit ill.
Hmm.
And not being a fan of them, I sort of consider that to be more important than how well the group does.
Hmm.
But if they do have to change the centre for a single or two singles or something, I don't think it will make as big a difference as people are claiming.
Mm, possibly, yeah. I do think the importance of center is being exaggerated. I'm not sure to what degree, but it definitely seems more important in discussion than it might actually be. I still think they really missed an opportunity to go with Tsuzumoto last time around. It's just after the music station performance that December, and Techi was sick, so she wasn't. I think she was on leave, right? And she wasn't able to perform. I forgot what the song's name is, but it's not Fukuyong, it's the other one. And Suzumoto really caught people's attention. She even trend for a bit. So it seems like the perfect opportunity for the next single to have Suzumoto center, and instead they sent her to third row, and that was like mind-boggling to me. And
I think if you care about performances,
mhm.
Suzumoto seems to be the best performer. Like I'm sort of sticking my neck out a bit here because my actual experience of them is very limited.
No, I can say it.
Um,
I think that's fair to say. I think she's definitely the best, followed by Fuyuka.
yeah, because looking at it realistically, Hirate is the most charismatic member, but she's not the best performer skill
Mm.
wise.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm also not sure how much idol performance really matters to J-pop fans anyway.
uh,
Um, but yeah, like it's a brilliant bit of news though because like I said, Nogizaka are similar to AKB in the sense that they are set up to be a commercial juggernaut, but
hmm
they're still a more restricted group. Like they've got fewer members for sell handshake tickets and that kind of thing. So for them to be out doing AKB again is quite a big thing, I think.
hmm
And so things look things look promising for the future. Like things could still go either way, but it's definitely looking promising.
I agree.
Um, Now I also wanted to say a few things about. We were talking about the fact that the documentary had been announced, but the trailer came out maybe
Hmm.
about a week or so ago.
Something like that.
Um, so like I had a couple of observations. The first thing is the documentary like explicitly name checks Mayan and Na-chan right away, so we know exactly what the focus is going to be.
Hmm.
I mean, some people are a little bit unhappy about this, but I think if you're going to do a documentary about the group in the last couple of years, Na-chan and Mayan are too inextricably linked with it not to concentrate on them to some extent.
Hmm.
Um, I think people would have liked to see more second gen. All we got to see from second gen was somebody managed to find a little bit of Hori in the
Hmm.
background.
Hmm.
So we've been talking about the second gen getting some more of the limelight recently, but probably not in this documentary. I wouldn't have thought.
Hmm.
Um, which I'm less okay with, but I do also understand the fact that maybe the documentary makers wanted to have some kind of overarching narrative to the film, so they have. Um, I mean, if they've focused a lot on Mayan and Narchan, it's not just the second gens who are going to be cut down a bit. I think
Hmm.
because all I really saw was Mayan and Narchan, and to a lesser extent, a little bit of Ashiwika-chan and Yoda.
Hmm.
I also think like this is something that I can't verify, but I did see a couple of people comment that the filming may have started about halfway through 2019. Sorry, not halfway through 2019. Halfway through 2018, which might
Hmm.
explain why there's so much emphasis on Narchan, because Narchan would have been um, in the process of graduating throughout most of what we've seen being recorded.
Hmm.
So, I mean, what did you think about what we saw in the trailer?
Well, I mean, I like many fans. I want to see more footage for second gen, maybe Virgin, and under specifically backs and buds regular even like just people we don't usually see as much. But on the other hand, I understand why they would focus on Nanase and Mayam. They are the two biggest member in Logi, and from a business standpoint, it just makes sense, I guess, to focus on your two most popular member. So it's there's always this tension, right? There's tension between what we fans think is ideal, where we focus more on members that usually don't get much screen time, and really do have a dynamic story that people don't really know much about often. We always see the front member, the Fukujin, but we don't really see the struggle of the people behind as much. So we, as fans who are quite into Nogi, we know about the story there and the potential there. But yeah, I mean, I guess to summarize my feeling toward it is like I'm not surprised, but a bit disappointed about the fact that the trailer is very much focused on Maya, I'll say. Although, I guess if we look at how the last documentary was structured, it also makes sense. The last documentary is structured in a way that focus on like Fukuji member one by one, right? So it might just follow that format. And I can understand the logistic difficulties in trying to showcase everyone. Like there's a lot of members in the group, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess it's
I
please
mean,
everyone.
all I think I'd say is that I definitely understand why they focused on Mayan and Archan.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's kind of justifiable from the point of view of trying to build up a narrative within the film. Although I'd also
Mm-hmm.
say that I don't think anyone's going to watch this who's not a fan.
That's true.
I mean, I know Nogizaka are big right now, but I don't think that regular citizens are going to go and see a documentary film about them without already being fans, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's
So, from that perspective, maybe they should focus a bit more on the less popular members.
mm. Yeah, like if all the audience gonna be fans, then there'll be a bigger point in talking more and showing more about their member at the back.
I guess another thing I'd say is that this is something which I think is a perpetual problem with idol documentaries. It's probably never going to go away. Is the
Mm.
fact that most of the footage was of members crying. And, I know it happens because it's a high pressure job and the people doing it are not very old.
hmm
But it would have been nice to see a little bit of triumph. This isn't a dark era for the group. Um, I kind of feel as though, like being an idol is a tough job, but it's also full of moments of triumph, and I kind of feel as though that's taken away from the members a little bit by people who make the documentaries.
hmm
They didn't become idols to cry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's a Mandarin term we use in Taiwan. Actually, maybe it might be a Taiwanese term. I'm not sure what's the origin of the term, but it literally translates to dog blood, and literally it makes no sense. But what it's trying to describe is like cheap tearjerker.
Mm,
If like you're just showing tear and trying to very very transparently trying to make people cry,
yeah,
but it doesn't work well because it's so cheap and obvious and not done in a sophisticated way
yeah,
that or in like it's not so spontaneous at all. And I think that's kind of my feeling about these attempts. Often you see in documentary, especially idols one, they show you the sad thing but it sometimes feels too deliberate, too purposeful, and it doesn't feel very genuine, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
And I don't know whether this will be featured in the upcoming documentary, but that's definitely something I'm a little bit worried about because I think it's something that's quite common.
Yeah.
hmm
I did quickly want to say one thing in defense of the people who run the group, though, which is that obviously this documentary features. I mean, it's just inevitably going to feature Nanase quite prominently.
hmm
It seems obvious, but it's not the only thing that's been coming out recently which has featured Nanase very prominently. Like, I think we're going to have a DVD for her graduation concert, and there was like a booklet for the graduation concert which Nanase also advertised or was involved in the advertisement for.
hmm
And I have sort of like people, I have seen a few people saying that Noizaka is exploiting Nanase's legacy as a way of making money,
mm
which I think is true, but I also feel as though like fans are being continually exploited by management for the purposes of making money because that's, I mean, from a business point of view, what the group exists for.
mm
And I would say that while Nanase has been prominently involved in quite a lot of things which have been coming out even after she left the group, I would say that there's nothing really that's come out that hasn't been part of the pattern of merchandise you would expect to be coming out.
hmm
And I think people have been saying that Nanase fans have been milked, but I would say that really all that's been coming out is the kind of things you would expect. And the only reason why people are even noticing this is because she left the group.
Mm,
And, there are some members, like, for example, Mai's graduation concert never got a DVD or anything, did it?
mm, no.
And I mean, the argument I would make is that rather than saying it's a problem because Nanase's graduation concert is going to be released on DVD, I think really what we should kind of be saying is that it's a bit of a shame that Mai's wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a shame, and I sometimes wonder, is it because my ran to a different agency?
Yeah,
Cause,
I've wondered about that a little bit as well.
cause Nanase is still with Nogizaka LLC, so she's probably getting a cut from all these recent stuff. But might be in a different agency. I don't know did that factor into their decision to not release Mai's grad as a Blu-ray.
Yeah, that seems to be
Also,
possible, doesn't it?
yeah, and also, I mean, one more fair explanation in my mind is that, when my graduate Nogi wasn't as popular, so maybe they thought it wasn't as worthwhile to release their Blu-ray for my.
Yeah,
That's like the fairest one, but I'm pretty sure they would still make a few times if they release it, and a
yeah. I
lot.
mean, like AKB have put out quite a lot of DVDs of
Hmm.
like the graduation concerts of like fairly popular but not crushingly popular members.
Hmm.
I think the run of them is quite limited. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of them printed, but I mean, I don't think it's like an outrage that Mai never got a graduation concert DVD, but I do think she probably should have done. Not,
Yeah,
like it's not an overwhelming problem, but I think it's a bit of a shame.
they should at least like broadcast it one day, because I'm pretty sure they have a footage. Like sometimes we see footage here and there
Yeah,
of
I
one
mean,
particular scene or another.
there's probably like some cable channel somewhere which will pay money to broadcast it. Probably.
Yeah, like if you're not going to release a Blu-ray, put it on TV. But yeah, back to Nanase. I think I agree. I don't think she's necessarily been milked too badly so far. Like everything makes sense. Of course, they're going to release their DVD for her graduation concert, and if there's things that she's been in the past, like half a year or 1 year that they haven't released it yet, and they're releasing that, that makes sense. I think we'll start getting very odd and annoying if like let's just say it's like 2 or 3 years after Nanase graduating and they're still releasing Nanase stuff,
Yeah.
then that would be kind of like questionable.
Yeah,
Like,
if it starts getting into the realm of products you don't think would have been released within the like regular cycle of goods released for the group, I think that's when you can sort of like say that it's starting to go a bit wrong.
yeah, like it reminds me of how AKB have these. Do you know that they work with the pachinko company and they have like a bunch of songs
Yes.
and they took forever to release those. Like I never get the logic behind that. Like that was really weird.
Yeah.
Like many of those songs are good too. Like they're good song. They have a decent MV, and they feature their Kami 7 at the time, Kami 8, I guess. Like they featured the popular member at the time, and they were good unit song. And they took forever to release them, and sometimes it's like way after the member graduated, and by the time they release it, not only isn't like not much, there's not much people who are going to be receptive of it because people move on, but also the time is just so weird. It's totally wasting resource.
Yeah, I mean, I actually am quite familiar with Team Surprise because the stage which was made for NGT was kind of primarily made up of Team Surprise songs, which were sort
Oh,
of packaged as a stage. And
mm,
I know a lot about this because HKT fans are still quite pissed off about the fact that HKT have never had a stage of their own.
ah, mm,
And NGT got one before them, which always seemed to be quite weird and wrong.
mm,
Anyway,
mm,
we've also got a couple of things about specific members. I am still kind of slightly confused about the actual status of this, but Hori Miona went to Shanghai International Film Festival for her work in Hot Gimmick.
Uh-huh.
Um, I know that Hori won some kind of award. I know she won some kind of award because I've read through the sort of press releases on the Shanghai International Film Festival, and I've seen the word, like I've seen the kanji for prize. But what I actually think Hori won was, like an award for outstanding newcomers. But I think it's one of several, in the sense that like outstanding newcomers are issued an award, but she didn't win an award in a specific prize category. But she was nominated for Best Actress.
Mm. That's yeah. So what I understand is that there is a newcomer, like a whole newcomer category for everything. So newcomer actress, newcomer actor, newcomer director, whatever, And she was nominated for newcomer actress, and this is where it's got confusing for me. It seems like some are saying like she didn't win, she's just nominated, but others are saying she won, and it's really confusing.
So, like, yeah, what I can gather from reading the press releases, which seem kind of confusing to me, although in a lot of ways what goes on at film festivals can inherently be quite confusing in the first place. I think that Hori Miona was nominated for Best Actress. She didn't win,
Mm-hmm.
but
She still got an award.
yeah. So basically, what she won was she won an award, but she didn't win any of the prize categories that are sort of read out during the formal, like award announcements on the day of the festival.
Mm.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, because we don't see any video of her going upstage and grabbing something.
Yeah, but where I'm going with this is that, it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I never watched Hot Gimmick, and I don't really want to because I kind of know a little bit about the plot of the source material, and it doesn't seem like the kind of thing I'd enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But she's won sort of like critical recognition for her efforts, like early on in her career. So I think it's, like definitely very good news for her.
Mm. Yeah, like the film festival is an international one, so like all the film being nominated are international films, so to be able to get a nomination from like a bunch of international film, I think that's pretty impressive. Also, it's Hot Gimmick's only nomination, like there's a bunch of other categories like I mentioned.
That's pretty significant as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because there's like best director, best script, best, the usual stuff.
Yeah, because I
And
don't think
only
it will shock people to learn that quite often, like, the exchange of money is involved when it comes to film festival nominations and winners and stuff like that. So the fact that she's the only person who was nominated from the film would also, like, kind of indicate that it was a genuine recognition of her efforts.
Yeah, and I can see Miona being a good actress. Like we saw her acting a few times on Nogichu for some scene, and she's pretty good. So I'm not surprised that she got a Best Actress nominations. And even though she might not have won the award, become the one, but she still got a nomination, and that's pretty significant.
Yeah, plus we all know that Zambia's rubbish, even though, personally speaking, I very much enjoyed it. But I would also say that I kind of thought that Hori was the best actor in that series as well. That's, just my personal opinion there.
No, I think that's fair.
Also, a pretty significant achievement for one of the members recently was Kaz. Kaz's book came first in quite a large poll of like popular books, and it came first in the category of people aged 0 to 30 when
Hmm.
asked their favorite book. So I actually don't have any particular figures on how many copies of Kaz's book have been sold, but
Mm.
I know that 200,000 copies have now been printed.
Hmm.
I'm not familiar with how many, like how many books sold is good for novelists, but the news article I read this in sort of suggested that this kind of print run is usually only reserved for, like the most popular authors.
Hmm.
So, like it does seem as though Kaz's book has done great. Like I'm really,
Mm.
really pleased. Like it's actually sold, almost as many copies as what you would hope for from like an idol putting out a photo book or something.
Hmm. Yeah, I say it's definitely really successful. I think last time I read it sold at least like 150,000.
Yeah,
So, and it could be higher now. I don't know. But regardless, like just like I didn't really expect it to be even above 100,000 to begin with. So the fact that it's like 150,000 and above, and it's printing 200,000, it's really successful. It's really great.
yeah. I mean,
I
its
Yeah.
original print run was 20,000 copies, which would indicate that's probably more the kind of figure that the publisher was assuming it would sell. So for
Hmm.
it to get a second print run, which is 10 times larger than the original, is like a really good sign.
Hmm. Yeah. I remember seeing like some successful offers selling like very big number that's bigger than what costs have before, but I think those are figures for people who are like really, really successful. And
Yeah, I mean, when an author sells in the millions of copies of books, they're usually like a kind of established brand name,
hmm
if you know what I
yeah.
mean. It's like they're the kind of books you'll get in like airports and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So for a first time author to be doing this well is really a significant achievement, I think.
Yeah, and considering how much book out there, I think their first initial 20K print run was probably what you expect from a first time offer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, her book's doing great. Like like
Hmm.
as a fan, I really couldn't be happier. Although actually reading it is probably a task that's beyond my capacity, I think.
Mm. Maybe it's a good way to learn Japanese.
Because I can speak Japanese okay, but I'm not very good at reading it, to be completely honest.
No, I understand. Like the kanji is probably quite a hassle.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um. Also, in terms of member news, like Mizuki is definitely back now.
Hmm.
Like, it's clear that like she's now back as an active member of the group
Hmm.
completely. I mean, she said she was going to be back before the Nagoya concert in the Zenkoku tour, the
Hmm.
national tour. But it looks like she's actually back now. She's been doing showrooms and stuff. It's really nice to see that.
Yeah, she was on the other music show the other day. What's it called again?
I
There's
don't
like
know.
the music show. Anyway, she was.
Music Day is a TV show, so probably Music Day, I think.
Yeah, but Music Day, like she was on there with the other members
Yeah.
performing Synchronicity and
I
Sing Out.
actually think, did Mizuki not actually replace Momoko?
I'm not sure actually. I didn't thought of checking that. Hmm. But it's a possibility.
Which, like leads us as like Momoko will not be on the national tour, which
Hmm.
is. Do you know anything about the specific reasons why why she's taken some time off?
I don't know about a specific reason.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because when there's not a specific reason, that's something that always makes me think that it's
Mm-hmm.
mental. And quite often, if it's anything like Ki-chan, wouldn't surprise me if fans were involved again.
Mm.
Because we were talking about the fact that management put out that message about like a month and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
asking fans to be, just less aggressively unpleasant at handshake events.
Mm-hmm.
Stop stalking the members. So I wonder whether it might be another case of a member having to take time off because fans have been really awful to them, which would be. I mean, you can't really feel anything but pissed off about that, can you?
Yeah, I hope it's not the case, but it's totally possible.
It's just because it always seems to be that this is the kind of thing that's happening whenever members take time off and there's no reason given as to why.
Mm. Yeah, it's quite possible that this is the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of being an idol fan is you do have to accept the fact that a significant portion of the fan base is trash, and just kind of hope that's not how you end up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully Momoko will have a good recovery. It's quite a loss to see her not being able to attend the summer tour.
Yeah, because I think Momoko is not either of our favorite third gen or anything, but she seems like the kind of person who, if you bully her, you're a monster.
Yeah. Yeah, like I still think she isn't like mentally the toughest out there. So
Yeah.
hmm
So, talking about that, we also I just wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that Na-chan has been doing ads for sort of like colored contact lens company, which I think a lot of people will have seen. I think it's interesting that it's been pointed out on Twitter that Na-chan is advertising colored contacts, so is Mayan, and so is Asuka. It kind of feels like it, for some strange reason, that Nogizaka have now become like the go-to group whenever anyone wants to sell colored contact lenses.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I wonder if it's like a domino effect. Like the first brand went for Mayan, and then the other brands like, oh no, we can't lose, and then they went for Asuka, and then other brands like, oh crap, they got two Nogi, let's go for their ex Nogi. And
Yeah.
It's
like the only person I can think of who's advertising them who's not from Nogizaka is Sashi.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm never going to get any resolution on this, but the idea of a battle between Sashi and Na-chan is quite appealing to me.
I mean, I can see it happen. I mean, they're both on variety shows. Get them on the same variety show. Get them to both advertise their contact lens, and I don't know, they can play their game or something.
But the other thing is interesting because I was reading a little bit of the sort of like ad, spiel for these contact lenses, and the company is talking about the fact they're like emphasizing the idea of not natural, because color contact lenses can't be natural, but like subtle beauty. And it's interesting that, or like not just interesting, but very, very appropriate that they would choose Na-chan if that's what they wanted to put across as their image.
That's true. I also thought it was interesting that I think both Asuka and Na-chan have bad eyesight, but I don't think Maya have eyesight problem, right?
I have never seen Mayan wearing glasses that I wasn't completely sure were fake, whereas I've seen Na-chan and Asuka wear glasses quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Asuka and Na-chan have bad eyesight, so I thought it was interesting that they have Mayan there when Mayan probably doesn't need contact lens more. But she's probably, because she's such a big fashion icon now, that they probably just went for it because she's the biggest name out there.
But like if I could just have 10 seconds worth of fanboying, I would say that if you want to go for the idea of subtle beauty, you will never be able to find a better model than Nishino Nanase.
That's true.
So,
I agree.
Pretty obvious choice, but the right choice from whoever made it.
And I have to say, I really appreciate the commercial they're doing for not just Nanase, but Asuka too. Like, I really enjoy the branding they're doing.
Yeah. So, also just another note, which is a pleasant one is the fact that I think a lot of people thought that Yutan would be leaving show business, which seems as though actually based on something we heard from one of the people on Twitter, Seditious48 on Twitter has told me that this rumor may have always been false, but I think a lot of fans were assuming that Yutan would be leaving show business based on various things that were written. But she is not. She will be appearing in a stage play, I think in August, called Black or White. And speaking personally, I'm quite happy that she is not leaving, because I've always appreciated her, and it will be nice if I can see her around and things a little bit more from now on.
Yeah, it seems like a rumor about her leaving show business based on her speech she was giving during her last handshake event.
Yeah, it seems to have been some kind of misinterpretation from people.
Yeah, I think she said something about just like what the teacher said. She said something about relationship being different, and maybe their ambiguous wording she used and their ambiguous interpretation, and that's the idea that she's doing the industry for good.
Yeah. But, we were talking a lot about how much we appreciated her as a member, so I'm very happy she's actually not leaving show business after all.
Yeah, that's good news. I wonder how her photo book will do though. I don't think we see a figure yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen a figure. I've seen a lot of shots from it. I think it's going to be good.
You mean their photo book's good or their sales good?
Oh, the photos book's good. I don't know about the sales.
Yeah, I agree about the photo book part. I think we want to do like Wednesday-ish, I guess.
Because I think we, unlike Slight Podcast, who I think can talk quite a lot about the various artistic elements of the photo books, you might be able to talk about that, but I know that I definitely can't. All I really care about is has it portrayed the idol as I know them, and it looks like Yutan's has. And seeing as that's my only criteria, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, for me, I think there's two things I look for. If I'm not professional either, but I care about two things. One is, as you said, that it has to show the personality of the idol that they're making a photo book of. The other thing is, I wish they showcase the locality.
Yeah, right.
Like if Yutan is shooting hers in Bali, and you can tell it's Bali, right? You can tell it's Indonesia, and you can tell the local environment. You can see the local culture. I appreciate that. And the photo book that I often don't appreciate are the one that you can barely tell they're there, and it feels like a waste that even right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, from that aspect, I do think Yuli's photo book is a good one. Also,
like another more recent bit of news is that Matsun is going to be in a film, based on, we looked it up and we're pretty sure that it's a manga which had, like a writer and an artist, called Tokyo Wine Party. As well as this, Matsun also had an Instagram opened for her role in the film, which is something we've seen before for a couple of members, but they haven't had their own dedicated Instagrams for themselves. But I would say this Instagram is called Matsumura Sayuri Official, so someone is stretching the rules as far as they can possibly go. Could be Matsun doing that. Could be her, yeah.
Yeah, I can see her doing that.
So this comes off the back of her performance in Kakegurui, and it looks as though she might be playing like a sort of like similarly like outgoing, upbeat character. Well, I mean, her character in Kakegurui is that, externally at least, right? And I kind of think that it's kind of, it feels as though the role will probably play to her strength. Like she seems to be really, really good at playing that. Yeah. I never read this either manga. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I'm just going by the pictures, just the pictures, nothing else.
Yeah. We never read the book, so we don't really know exactly what the protagonist is going to look like. But we do have to, I do have to, like you mentioned, like the cover girl on the cover of the book, it does look like Sayuri, so at least that we got that going. And also, I've been wondering whether like the director or the producer or whatever, someone in the production team in Kakegurui was impressed
Yeah.
by Majun's acting, and that's where they recruit her to this movie. So it could be a good sign that people like her acting. I definitely know a lot of people who watched Kakegurui thought her acting was good. So
Yeah, I don't know
potentially.
how versatile she is, but she definitely did really well in that specific role.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know anything about. I didn't read Kakegurui, but I watched um, like the clips of
Hmm.
Matson in it. Yeah, she's really
Hmm.
good.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, we got that going for her. Good acting. Another thing that's going for her is that this book is by someone that's quite accomplished. Like the writer for this book, it's what's his name? His name is how do you pronounce it? Kibayashi Shin.
Kibayashi
And
Shin, yeah.
yeah, the most famous work from him is the King Daiji Case series. That one's pretty popular in Japan. He didn't draw it. He's not a manga artist. He wrote the script, so he worked with someone on it.
Yeah,
But
it's split like the people who wrote like Death Note, for example, isn't it?
yeah, something like that, which makes sense, I guess. I mean, you can be good at drawing, but you might not necessarily be the best at coming up with a detective script, and
Yeah,
detective script
especially because
obviously.
like the Kindaichi manga is, you know, like it's a detective series. You know, it's actually quite complex. Like
Hmm.
it's not that much of a surprise. It's got a separate artist and writer.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
so
and that,
that
like,
can.
and that's a system that works very well. For example, if you're looking at Western comic books, it's a system that's worked really well for people like Alan Moore, for example.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's not a surprise to see it here, and yeah, it's a pretty popular series. So this being one of his work, it should be quite acclaimed as well. He also have several other works. Some are pretty successful too, if to a lesser degree. Like there's another detective series called, I think it's called Detective Gakuen Q, which I'm not
hmm
sure have you heard of it before, but he had many work, and this
I
is from
mean,
him.
I've got
So.
his page open on Wikipedia, and he's got quite a lot of series which, like run for, like 5 or more years, which is always like a good sign if you're looking at how successful somebody is.
Hmm. Yeah, so he's quite accomplished, to say the least.
So yeah, like I'm really looking forward to this. I think I'm partly looking forward to this because I actually want to see how versatile Matson is as a performer.
Mm. Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
But I think we've gone through all the various news items we wanted to cover this week.
Mm. Yeah, I think the only thing left for me is it's the preview for the upcoming music. I think it's Music Day, right? Like
Right,
Nogi is going to be on Music Day on, I think it's July the 2nd,
right, yeah.
and they're going to be performing 4 songs. 3 of them are um classic from the past. But one is Hadashi the Summer, and I thought it was interesting that AKB is going to be performing with us on that song.
Yeah, I've seen Nogizaka is going to be part of the Idol medley.
Hmm.
I've seen this from Music Day a couple of times in the past, and basically what happens is that the various idol groups will sort of like cycle through.
Hmm.
So there'll be like the backup perform with some other act, like then
Hmm.
they'll do their own performance, and then the next group will come in and perform something with them, and they'll leave.
Hmm.
So I think that what's happening is that the performance of Hadashi Day-san with AKB is actually going to be the performance Nogizaka do before they leave the stage.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I also think it's. I mean, if they're going to perform with AKB, I think Hadashi Day-summer is quite a good one to choose because I think it's the only one that AKB will really be good at performing.
Interesting.
Just because the performance style between Nogizaka and AKB is so different. Like
Hmm.
I remember that like back when they were still quite new,
Mm.
um, HKT performed, I believe, Fukuoka One,
Hmm.
um, and Kayakizaka did Ski Ski Skip. And,
Mm.
like infamously, like Kayakizaka fans trashed HKT's Fukuoka On, which I wouldn't know whether it's unusually bad or not.
Mm.
But I watched Kayakizaka do Ski Ski Skip and they were rubbish at it. So what I'm trying to get at this is that, like the performance styles are completely different. So it's
Mhm.
important to choose a song which is going to be at least as suited to the second group as humanly possible.
Mm.
And I think that Hadashi Summit is probably the song, like from Nogizaka's like singles catalog at
Mhm.
least, which AKB are most in the position to perform well.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. I also thought it was interesting that they're not performing Sing Out. I mean, it could be that
They don't
they think,
perform. Oh, sing outright. Sorry.
yeah, it could be that they thought Hadashi de Summer is a more suitable song, but it also could be another sign that Sing Out is really not breaking out.
Hmm.
Mm. Yeah, beside Hadashi de Summer, Nogi is also performing Dancing Hero, so that would be a treat. And the other classic is Aoi no Aoi not Aoi no Aoi Sango Show, which is a classic from their classical idol days when there's like one idol singing, and
Right.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Ikachan Center, maybe? Do you think?
That'd be great. I think she would desire that song, or maybe she'll send her Dancing Hero.
Hmm.
Mm. So yeah, that's coming up, and I thought that's something that people want to know.
Yeah, like I always find the music day performances to be really fun when it comes to the
Mm.
idols.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Actually, just one more thing. Ma Yang, she's debuting tomorrow.
She's done what? Sorry,
She's debuting tomorrow
debuting what?
as a racehorse.
Oh yes, yes. I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, on July the 1st, I think. So she's debuting tomorrow.
So yeah, like Mayan is debuting as the name of racehorse,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that surprised me about this is that this is not the first racehorse which is being named after an Nogizaka member, is it? I know that
No,
there's
no.
one named after. I know there's one named Asherin. Who else was there one named after as well?
There's a retired one named Nanase Maru.
Right, yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and there's an influencer which might not be a Nogi influence one, but yeah, there's definite Nanase Maru and Australian are too unique to be randomly generated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
it's Rich Wotan news, isn't it?
kind of. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Maya Young will achieve fame and become a famous racehorse.
Hmm. I guess if you want a proletarian horse, it's going to have to be named after Tamanamayu instead.
Maybe in the far future, or maybe not so far future, that would happen one day.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I guess we've covered everything now then.
Mm-hmm.
So it's goodbye from me, John.
Goodbye from me, Rusty.